back to another one of my videos. Today, got a hard truth to break to myself. How much have I actually spent on the S15 and the build, making it all-wheel drive and just generally tidying it up. Got myself a manila folder here with all the numbers in it, but I'm just on a tripod at the moment. Break it down to different categories and then total at the end. Bear in mind, just rough numbers. Don't want to go back through all the receipts and try and work it all out, but we'll go over the different areas. I'll take you off and see how much I've actually spent, see how fast it adds up. If I get to break it down to different categories, do a bit of a walk around as I talk about it, but we'll start with body. See if this comes off smooth. It worked out better than I expected. I had another one there ready to go as well. So when I got the car, didn't have rear pods, but it had aero skirts and a fiberglass front bumper. So let's buy OEM rear pods. They cost me $1,100. Bought a heap of seals, like you saw me put in rubbers around the doors, just little trinkets like bits of plastic like that, little trims, lots of small bits. Ended up adding up to about $1,000. The rear window, when I got the car, all around the outer edges were covered in orbital marks and the seals were destroyed. And the same could be said for the front window. So I ended up getting a new front window, second-hand rear window and brand new seals. They ended up costing about $600 all up. So you got the standard headlights down there at the moment, but got brand new headlights, because why not? Finished the car off nicely, and I'm a sucker for new headlights. They cost me $1,600. The rear wings, so origin roof wing and boot wing, which I must admit when I first got, I thought the boot wing was going to be too big, which is growing on me. Love how it follows the tail light lines. Ended up costing me $500. So paint, lucky the body was pretty much painted. Got the bumpers redone, front and rear, the wings obviously, and included the engine bay one in this as well. So about $1,000 worth of paint by the time I bought enough paint and got everything done. Front tubs, I'm sure these were about $500 when I got them. So Rex Cowway front tubs, I obviously fitted them all myself. That was easy enough, but yeah, $500 for those. Small purchase to tidy up the bay. And the final one for the body is tail lights. So $200 for tail lights, just the basic D-Max versions. Nothing special, but they actually had the same ones in it, but I had to give them back to the owner that I bought the car off. It was part of the deal. Next up, suspension. Why do I feel this one's not going to come off nicely? Here we go. Take it right off. Come on. There she goes. Alright. So this is a bit more basic. So we got coilovers, so Shockworks coilovers all round. Ended up, the rears are pretty much just standard S15. The fronts are a custom shorter unit so that the body doesn't actually end up in the axles. They cost me $2,000, and I got GK Tech arms front to rear. Not going to lie on the ground, just don't want to. You guys know what arms look like under the car. They were about $1,000 for all the arms, maybe more. Astra power steer pump, just a wrecker item. He'll chilling in the front there. He was $200. I included the lines in one of the other tiny tools. Wheels and tyres. So brand new Wed Sport wheels for Import Monster. 18.5 plus 38. Same all round. Front just need to have spaces just so it can clear the shocks. But yeah, rears fit perfect. And Nixon semi-slicks. So the tyres end up costing me $1,700. Sorry, the wheels end up costing me $1,700 and the tyres $600. And because I'm a sucker for a fancy wheel nut, I ended up with Nismo wheel nuts. So they were another $200. So yeah, that was the total for the suspension sort of area. I guess wheels just been packed into there because I didn't know where else to put them. but it wasn't too bad honestly. I'm still looking at different wheel options at the moment. Oh, next up, interior, and I've destroyed it. It's okay. Give me a second, I'm going to rewrite those in. Alrighty, I'm back with some handwritten numbers. Actually made up a spare sheet just in case. Thought it might happen, but yeah, we're back in the inside. So from the S15 I'd actually bought a lot of the stuff as well. So we've got the rb25 GDR seats, overall really good condition. The driver's side's got a little burn there, normal cigarette burn, at least it's not between the legs like they usually are. They cost me $1,600. We've got the power tune dash cluster, Mako Motorsports surround, and just a basic fuel gauge and a couple of indicators. Cost me about $1,000 there. We've got brand new center trim, well, geared surround and stereo surround there. That was about $500 for Amiyama. Some JL Design, Fit My Garage, whatever his name of the company is now. Floor mats, about $150. Just basic style floor mats, just to finish the floor off. Big purchase is the steering wheel. So that ended up having to buy off a scalper on Yahoo Japan. That was $1,700. Funny enough, Nissan Amuro has just released these again for pre-buy. Ends up being about $1,500 if you're not starting by duty by the time you get them here. And that was $1,700 as I said to buy that one. Boss kit, so that ended up random Kruber buy, as I had to find one that suited the clock spring. It was $150. In the boot, just got a little full river battery and mount chilling over in the corner there. Nice and sturdy little thing. But that was about $300 all up. The mount was a bit more than I wanted to pay, but it was just nice and tidy, and I didn't really want to make my own. Finishes off the interior stuff. Actually really basic for the interior. Driveline. Let's see how we go this time. Come on, you bugger, don't rip. I'm trying to be gentle. There we are. Still kind of took the writing off. Alright, so it's a bit sad to say, but the front diff cost me $2,000. Front knuckles, I know everyone keeps asking what they are. Honestly, not going to say what they are, but I'll tell you they are from America. They cost me about $300 with new bearings. G-Ready rear diff cover. Just a bit of a random purchase, but that was $400. Change the angle. Film myself talking for a bit. What do we got? We got the Nismo 1.5Y rear diff, which I built when I got the car. So $1,500 for that. New diff. The R35 GDR axles, which ended up being quite a costly experiment. So it was about $1,500. That was just the two axles. Cost me about $800 to buy a pair to begin with. Then I had to get one remade, which was $700. Wouldn't recommend it, as I had to get the inner stub axles redone, put new flanges on them. So yes, $1,500 for the axles in the end. Outer GDR hubs were about $400 just for new OEM units, so that's not too bad. Means new wheel bearings. The brakes. So I've got Brembos on the front and just two pot Nissans on the rear. New rotors all round. The fronts I've actually had for a long time and cost me nearly nothing. They were a wreck I find off a European car, just happened to fit up. So I'll say I've got about $500 in brakes. Tail shaft, I'm not going to lie down in the car so you can see it, but yeah, about $400 in that just to adjust it to get it to the right length. And to control the forward drive unit, I've got what they call ETS Pro. That was $1,000. Gearbox, $7.5 grand. $7.5 bloody $1,000. So that's a Speed Tech gear set inside of the GTR gearbox with the transfer case obviously in the back. And then the clutch, we've got an Extreme twin plate, and that was about 1500. That totals up the driveline. Just going to grab a drink of water and then I'll jump into the engine bay. Alright, I'm back in that engine bay with a big total. So obviously she's come out nice, and I'm really proud of how it's all come out. Machining for top and bottom, so block, pretty basic, line hone, boring, general cleanup, and head. Actually had to tidy up. There's a bit of a destroyed valves, so I bought 2 heads, and then I got it ported as well. So it's about 5 grand, and machining for the top and the bottom end. Internals, about 4 grand. I'm not sure how close I am on that one, but I think it's pretty good. So that's pistons, rods, ARP, main studs and head studs, and a Nitto head gasket. Cams and springs, so Calfed cams and springs, about $1,500 there. One of the big purchases I had were the valve covers, so that was about $1,500. Ended up picking the valve covers up by themselves, front cover up by itself, and then I had to buy a brand new centre cover. Just a bit of a nightmare trying to source them now. The front cover came with the hole pre-cut out, not quite in the right spot, but made it work. So about $1,500 I spent there. The sump, Tomei baffle 300, oil cap, G-Ready USO only release, a bit of a bastard, was 150. Coil pack, so R35 GDR coil pack's pretty standard on a Franklin Engineering mount, so about $1,000 there. Hot side, about 5 grand. So we've got a GTW turbo, so 3884 with a 67 front wheel on a 6 boost manifold and a 50mm turbo smart wastegate hiding down there, and that would be a 5 grand. Intake manifold, I managed to pick this up. It was brand new, still in box. Someone bought it, never used it. It was $1,000. Fuel rail, so nice Raceworks. Really lucky Raceworks have been able to help me out so much with this build. So big shout out to them for everything they've done, and I love using their products over everything else. So your fuel rail, 2200cc injectors, just Bosch injectors, and a turbo smart rig, about $1,000 sitting there, plus or minus a bit. And a Bosch 82mm drive-by-wire throttle body. Absolutely love having this, makes the drivability beautiful. That and all the other sensors, let's call it 600. Intercooler, which you can barely see from the top, front there, 1800. Huge purchase, but it works. So that's an ETS cooler from the States, 4-inch cooler, actually meant for a Supra, so I had to make all new mounts for it, but it should do the trick. Yeah, 1800. Intake, so G-Ready air filter and nice 4-inch pipe, some intercooler pipes, really basic, just got to call it $400 in that. Radiator, a big unit, but a cheaper purchase, so $200. Really easy, well done fittings, nothing too special there, just top and bottom, so you get 200 there. More expensive items, the trigger cap, so PRP trigger cap, actually ended up cleaning it up, adding a machine looking face to the front, give it a bit of a different look, and obviously it's got the crank trigger down the bottom as well. There's $1,000. Hiding in the interior, we've actually got the Haltech, so Haltech Elite 2500, hiding up in there with the wideband sensors, WB1 I think they call them. Yeah, hidden away nice and neat, got little bulkheads next to it, about 3 grand in that. And I got Drew from Japelec to do the wiring loom, So I ended up making a string loom, sending it up to him. He made it all. About $1,000 in that, plus or minus a few, but close enough. Catch can. Bit of pride of mine. Actually really happy with how this came out. Sits in the corner, suits it perfectly. $250. Oil filter relocation, which you can't see at all. It's those two lines that sit higher there. About $300, and the block on the for the filter to mount to, and the screw onto the block. Got Frenchie's Performance, twin fuel pump hanger, 2 Walbros, about $1,500. This is the total. I reckon I've probably undervalued it by maybe $1,500. Is all the braid and fittings, so nearly everything's done in it. About $3,000 I've put down here, but I reckon I might be off by a little bit. Even the radiator hoses, all the catch can lines, all the fuel lines right to the back, all done in braid. The crank pulley, but you can't get down there to see it. It actually includes the water pump pulley, so ATI dampener, that was $900. LS1 alternator, or just a bracket I made up myself, as it pretty much bolts on, even using the pulley it comes with. That was $300. Got Maridine fans on the front. Absolutely rate these fans. I've got one smaller on the cold side, bigger on the hot side. $300 for them. And an exhaust I made myself. So 2 mufflers, one in the middle, one at the back to a little dump tip. So 3.5-inch exhaust. About $700 there. Lucky enough, my mate Troy, he welded up the front for me after I tacked it all together. So yes, about $700 in the exhaust. Lucky I didn't have to pay a shop to make it. I guess the big announcement now. How much have I actually spent all up? All the paper's gone. So here we are. So we got pretty much everything summed up. So now I guess the big ones, how much do I spend all up? So you got the main purchases here. So initial purchase price of the car was about $30,000 once I got it registered. Managed to sell about $10,000 off it, so we're down to 20 there. Actually bought a Stagia. I've included this was from when I had the S15, but I guess it works against the total against this. I paid $4,500 for a Stagia. Bear in mind I sold a couple of things off, but I used the majority of it. So that it was for the Neo motor, the front, the rear diff, all the front cross member, all the steering rack, a lot of it just miscellaneous components like the Tesla pump. Stuff like that would have cost me a hell of a lot more to buy otherwise. I got miscellaneous here, $1,500. Just stuff I've forgotten. It's probably a higher number than that. Like I realised I forgot the strut brace, which is about $300. Just silly stuff. And then the totals of what we've been over. So engine bay, $3,500 and $700. No surprise there, adds up a lot. You can see it going a lot more out of control, but it's okay. Interior, $5,550. Not crazy. Body, $6,500. Drivelines, the gearbox, all that jazz, $1,700 nearly. Suspension, $5,700, which is not too bad considering how it all came out. And the total. Some of you already added this up. I wouldn't have, but I was just waited. The total, if I can get it out, 90. Where are we going? There we are. Sorry, zoomed in. Got excited. 96,350. Working off these totals. And would I be lying if I said I was in shock? Yeah. I thought it was going to be less. But when I look at all the things I've added up, I know it's more. It would have been over 100,000 I've spent on this car, which is absolutely bloody ridiculous. I mean, end of the day, what have I got? Just a S15. I mean, it's about a 500 kilowatt all-wheel drive S15. But yeah, it's crazy to think I'm looking at a $100,000 car. Just for you, Chopper. Just for you, buddy.